Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. I'm Amber, and today is it's been a very hectic day, actually. I just got home from Denver, Colorado, about an hour and 20 minutes ago or so. So today, I actually want to introduce everybody to Cameron. And Cameron is a fellow veteran here at Military Broadcast Radio. He is learning how to podcast. He's in the very beginning stages of it. And so we are going to talk to Cameron today and get to know him and just talk to him about whatever we can get up to, okay? So my trip to Denver. So Cameron, I went to Denver because I wanted to know more about Military Broadcast Radio.
Good.
I started here. Well, the newsletter went out in February, and I immediately jumped on it. And so I've been with MBR since February, but I didn't put out my podcast until April. So I'm fairly new, and so getting to know Joel and everybody here at MBR, I wanted to get deeper. I wanted to know more about MBR, and so that was my goal, just to kind of figure out what MBR was and see what I could do.
Yeah.
So, so since I've been with MBR, I've noticed a big difference in my mood and my social skills. And that was something that I was trying to work on after being in bed for 6.5 years with migraines. I kind of lost all that. And so I'm just trying to gain it back with this podcast. And so that's what I'm doing here is it's therapy for me. So, I'm going to present a little slideshow real quick and show you guys what I saw there in Colorado. Okay, so this is the famous duck that Joel loves, and I love it too. He uses it as his business cards.
Nice.
Yeah, and then this is in Denver. This is the Buckhorn Exchange. It was established in 1893. Several presidents, including Teddy Roosevelt, who's actually one of my very favorite presidents, was there. Oh, looks like I went a little too far. My bad. So that's me at the bar top and stuff in the back.
Nice.
So, yeah. There's J. Edgar Hoover, and there is a letter to the people at Buckhorn. So if anybody wants to pause that and read that, it's very interesting. And then this is from JFK, President of the United States. It's a fishing license. So I thought that was incredibly interesting.
Had a fishing license in Colorado?
Yeah, I guess he needed a license there in Colorado to fish. So, so the president even had to get a fishing license.
That's the first for me.
I know. Me too. Okay. And then Joel took us over to Buckley Air Force Base, and now it's Space Force. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that's just some of the pictures. And then this is the studio at MBR. That's Caveman and Jimmy. And then that's Joel, Roddy, and myself.
Awesome.
And then we've got Joel, V, Mercury, Jimmy, Caveman, Dale, and myself. And that's probably a really bad picture. I shouldn't have put that on there. And then that's Joel, myself. And Joel, myself, and my husband, Charles.
Wait a minute. Isn't the Charles one that ordered? Yeah, there it is. Yeah. The snails. And
Yes.
Joel's face was comical. Just looking at him, he's like, what in dear God did you guys just put in front of me? Like I could read his mind from here.
Joe, what were you thinking when you saw that? Is he not there?
Well, I mean, it's not like it was tasting bad. It's just like when I bit into it, and like when I bit into it, and they finally told me what it was. You know, I just could. I didn't feel it in my tongue, but I could just picture these snails eating soil and stuff, and I'm like eating them. You know, just like you clean them, and I'm like, well, how do I know? I've never had these. I don't know how to prepare them.
Okay. And then that's Castle Rock. It's really cool when you see it while you're driving by. Have you ever seen this, Cameron?
Yes, I actually have. If I remember right, Castle Rock is south of Denver on 25.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and it is absolutely beautiful. I mean, going up down there, Colorado Springs, Castle Rock, Monument, all that stuff going south. It is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I had always heard that Colorado was beautiful. And then I went there this summer with the youth group, but we were up further north, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me honestly of Oklahoma around the wildlife refuge in the Lawton area.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, it's just like home. And then when I got down south, because Joel told us to go visit this place called Bishop's Castle, and I'm going to play a video about it in a minute. When he told us to go down there and we started seeing all these views, I was just like, oh my gosh, I really fell in love. Now I know why everybody says Colorado is so beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's just I don't know how Joel lives there. It is so expensive though, but beautiful.
Yeah, no doubt. This is Bishop's Castle, and I'm going to take you through some pictures, and then I'll show a video. I actually have several videos of my husband climbing all the way to the top, but they're on my camera, and I didn't have time to download them. But this is Bishop's Castle.
That's cool.
And yeah, I know. And you can kind of go online. Actually, this picture over here reminded me of Harry Potter. This reminds me of walking into Universal Studios and going to Harry Potter World.
Kind of like the Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was standing there in front of it, I was just like, dang, he put this together way before Harry Potter.
The next picture that if you go to it, this right here looks like Hagrid's hut. I mean, I know it's a castle, but when you look at it at this point, it looks like Hagrid's hut. I mean, just not the round dome, but yeah, it looks kind of like it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Now, they said it's a fire-breathing dragon. I'm wondering if it's set up to where, because at the very bottom, there's a fireplace, and you can tell that it goes all the way up. So I'm wondering if it's set up to where you can put fire in there and then it shoots out.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
It would be really cool to see. And then there's all kinds of signs throughout the entire establishment. It seems like they're very much on the stance of anarchy. So, yeah, this is just some stuff that's here. And the stained glass is just absolutely gorgeous. And I was like, Betty Boop?
Really? And the castle?
Yeah, I know. But it's beautiful.
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like our Roku TVs.
Yeah, it did. Okay. And all of these stained glass tiles and stuff like that, a lot of them are in memory of people. Now, when I looked at these pictures, I thought he was holding up his middle finger, but that's just something behind him. It's just a beautiful place. So that was my adventure. Alora did not go with me because she had to work.
That's
So, yes. But yeah, so I don't know if you want to be up there, Joel, or not, but you're up you're up there.
Trying to get down.
At least he laughed about it, not pouted like, oh man.
Yeah. So, Cameron, I do want to tell you, going to Colorado really made me excited about MBR. I'm really excited. Meeting Joel, he really is the guy that you see behind the curtain. You know,
Yeah.
He's not just the Wizard of Oz. He really is a man, and he's amazing. And I really enjoyed my time with him, and I can't wait to go back and hang out with him and his wife. And learn more about MBR.
Yeah, and learn about the minion leader, because he is the whole brain behind this, and he is by far probably the one of most, in my opinion, my short time of being with MBR so far, is the most helpful, the most dedicated, the most knowledgeable person, and he gives people leeway. You know, he explains stuff, and so far it's clear cut and dry what the man wants and how he does it. And he's awesome. So far, he's awesome. I got no gripes about the guy. And I hope you know, from what I've learned so far, he's really good.
Yes, he is. Okay, Cameron. So we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we will get into your story and talk to you about who you are and where you served and how you served.
I'll get it done.
Okay, so this is Sacred Flowers by the Blue Mountain Tribe. And remember, they are up for a Native American Music Award this month, and it's Native American History Month. So please go to the Native American Music Awards and vote for Blue Mountain Tribe. Here's Sacred Flowers. We'll be right back.
Sacred flowers, sacred mother, earth is crying for her daughters. Sacred flowers, sacred mother, earth is crying for her daughters. Where have you gone? Who took them from us? Who stole them from us? Sacred flowers. Sacred flowers, sacred mother, earth is crying for her daughters. Sacred flowers, sacred mother, earth is crying for her daughters. bringing light to our lives. You are missing your mist, sacred flowers.
Tune in to Clado's Cacophony of Sound every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern on Military Broadcast Radio at mbradio.us or on Twitch at DJ_Clado. MBR, giving veterans a voice.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. And that was actually Sacred Flowers by the Blue Mountain Tribe. And the first time I ever saw that video, I cried. It really touched me. And I'm here with Cameron. Cameron is actually from Oklahoma, and it actually kind of segues into you and your life. I don't know how much exposure you've had. For me, I grew up in southern Oklahoma, around several different tribes.
Amber, you're going to have to repeat that when you get a chance.
Yeah, it might be because she needs to buffer or whatever. She might have to refresh, but that's okay. Go ahead, Cameron. I don't know. I have no idea what she asked either.
I didn't either. That's what I was saying. I didn't hear anything.
Oh man. Well, I'm sure she's gonna ask you about did you say you had like a paranormal an event that happened to you?
Yeah, I've had two of them. That's one's been
Can
kind of
you-
unexpected. There she is. All right, can you Amber, can you come in and hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you?
You're
Hear
still
me?
you still having technical difficulties.
Amber, if you want to call on the phone line and then just use the video for video, you're more than welcome to do that too.
Yeah, okay. You guys can't hear me?
It's buffering too much, so I didn't hear anything you said.
We can hear you, but it just breaks. It just breaks. I thought it was because of my internet. I thought it was because I had Comcast.
I'll call in. Can you put a number backstage?
I sure can. I
Thank
can
you.
do one better. I can put it front stage.
Okay.
No, I'll put it backstage. I'm joking.
William moved it.
Hey, I tell you what, if you ever go meet Amber and she says that she has to pee, don't be driving the truck around the block 4 or 5 times. I'm telling you, she's being nice when I was there.
I got a kind of a crazy story to tell you about something about that one later, but I got something later.
You're on In the Weeds with Amber.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So, Cameron, where I was at the point where I had asked you, you are from Oklahoma, just like I'm from Oklahoma. And I have exposure from different Native American tribes, specifically more from the Comanche and the Kiowa tribes. Growing up there, have you had a lot of exposure to the Native American?
Very little. Growing up, we got to do a lot of touring with going to events with the Native Americans. We got to go to have food made by the Native Americans, but we've had a few kids in our classes, but nothing major, nothing to say, you know, that I've been on like reservations or anything else.
Okay, I was just curious because I'm from southern Oklahoma, Lawton, Fort Sill, so I was around the Comanche and the Kiowa tribes specifically.
Yeah.
And I went to powwows and had a lot of friends and family members who have either been associated with or part of the tribe, part of different tribes. So I was just very curious about that since you were from Oklahoma.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Cameron, can you kind of tell us who you are and why you chose to go into the military and what branch you chose and why?
Yes, ma'am. So I graduated high school in 2009 at a Broken Arrow Senior High. Basically, it was, look for a job, go to college, or join the military. My mom and dad both served. I had a cousin that served. My grandfather, he served. But what it came down to was, and my dad tried to influence me. My dad was like, hey, go Air Force and Navy because they treat you a whole lot better. You get better training, better equipment, whatever. And when it came time to go to the recruiters, the only ones available was the Army. The Armies were sitting in the office, 9-10 hours a day, wanting to do the paperwork, wanting to recruit people. You could never get a hold of the Navy. You could never get a hold of the Air Force guys. And it was always a head scratcher for me. So when I got out and I talked to him and did the whole paperwork, did the ASVAB and everything else, I was like, here, I'm sold. Of course, my dad being him, he was like, well, good job, dumbass. You joined the wrong branch, but I'm proud of you, So that was my dad, but he had that sense of humor. And I pushed forward and I went to Relaxing Jackson in South Carolina, which is Fort Jackson in over there in Columbia, South Carolina. Did my basic. For the first time ever, from what I've understood, we actually had Christmas exodus. And for the older veterans that never had this or heard of it, it was basically they sent us home during training for 2 weeks. And they said, go home for Christmas, come back after New Year's. And of course, my dad was livid. He had never heard of it. He had never experienced it, when he was in. And again, there was a lot of things with the military that has changed since, the 70s or 80s and the 90s. When I got down to my basic training, we had in processing for 3 days. We had this, just a way different aspect of, hey, the first 3 days, we're not going to grill you. Day number 4 of actually going into your unit, that's when basically all hell broke loose. And it was just a wildfire.
Yeah, don't worry. He's just buffering a little bit. That's all.
Okay.
Don't be so buff, Cameron.
Wow. Good job, Joe.
I'm right up in that. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So we started the basic, and in the middle basic, or basically at the beginning basic, they gave us these little business cards, and on it was a 4-step process of if you felt stressed, hold this card up. You got separated from the unit for like 30 to 45 minutes away from everybody. And it was basically, hey, we want to work, we're concerned about you and your mental health, but they couldn't lay hand on us. So again, the times were different from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And that was basic. That was just the beginning of basic.
Yeah. So I remember I went in 99, in January of 99, and we were told about stress cards, but we never actually saw any stress cards.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like a running joke. Oh, I'm going to pull out my stress card, but we had never received any or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I guess I always assumed it was still just a joke, because when we went in, we were told about them and told that we could use them, but never received any.
Yeah. And that's what the crazy part was when I enlisted, I knew eventually I was going to go to war. I knew what to expect. I knew that the drill sergeant would be in your face screaming and hollering at you, pushing you down and doing all the other stuff. But for us to actually carry around this little business card that said Army stress card and put it in our breast pocket was an eye-opener, because they're trying to prepare you to understand the military ranks, understand, not even just the parade uniforms or the drills or whatever. They're getting you ready mentally for war at any given time. And it was so kicked back, relaxed, that I think we only had to have like 40% or 50% to even pass basic. And as I progress through the stories, you'll see how bad the Army is and how much I failed.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and it's definitely scary to realize that. What you said, 2004 is when you went in?
2009.
Oh, 2009. So at least since after my time, which is after 9/11, we're preparing our soldiers, our men and women, to go defend our country, and yet giving them an out if they get stressed out.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it is this kind of leads into it. Is we had a drill sergeant, and all my drill sergeants were reserves. So it was really fun learning from guys who had either been deployed or they just stepped back and said, hey, I'm getting ready to retire. I don't care. But we had this guy, and forgive me, I can't remember his name, but he was proud that he was a Puerto Rican. Funny guy. He was a cook. And he walked around with a drill sergeant hat, and he goes, I don't want to hear a mouse fart. That's how quiet he wanted us to be on the parade ground.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna have to. I have to hold on.
We're having more difficulties.
I heard in my end, but I had to sit in for this veteran show. So as soon as this veteran show is done, I'll call you. Is that okay? All right, thank you.
That's Joel.
It is Wayne's World. But no, I admire the hustle, Joel.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's like, stop, wait a minute, I gotta take this call. Wait a minute, let's go back.
Yeah, and he's like that all day long. Believe me, I sat in with him from like, I don't know, I think the earliest I got there was 7-something in the morning, and we left at like 7-something at night, and he's going all day long. Okay, so before we get into the rest of your experience there at Fort Jackson, which, by the way, in case anybody doesn't know who's listening, I was at Fort Jackson myself, and so was my husband. And thank you, Tracer Rounds, for watching and listening to us. And yes, Joel is a mighty multitasker. Okay, so we are going to go to break, and we're going to listen to Cade Roth and the Black Sheep. It's Relapse, and we will be right back.
all through my veins. When I had you, I felt no pain till you decided to up and leave. Now these withdrawals, they're killing me. You were my addiction. You were my drug. I had to have you. Had to have your love. Now I'm back. It's in the past. But tonight, what a night. I relapsed. We were like fire. Yeah, gasoline. And I've never been higher than when you were with me. Now the fire's burned out. Not a flame in sight. Oh, darling, I'm craving your love tonight. You are my addiction. You are my drug. I had to have you. Had to have your love. Now I'm back. It's in the past. But tonight, what a night. I relapsed. My head, oh, they're shaking. My heart, oh, it's breaking. Now all of that, it's in the past. But tonight, what a night. I relapsed.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Can everybody? Hey, Joe. Okay. Can you hear me now, Cameron?
I can for now.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see how it works. Okay. So, welcome back, everybody, to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. And it really is Into the Weeds tonight.
Yeah. I don't think
So,
even
no, go ahead.
I said I don't think even a muck suit could help with what's going on tonight.
Okay, so Terry from Tracer Rounds. She's a Black Lion. I was at Alpha 128 as well. So we were both Black Lions. Terry, when did you serve in Alpha 128? When did you go to basic training? Joel, you're back. Are you trying to be there? Hold on. I don't know what he's doing.
So
June of 1991.
So that's Terry's unit over there, right?
There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. There.
I was just
Okay,
trying
she
to
was there.
touch the window.
Oh, okay. That's all right, Joel. Don't worry about it. So Terry was there June of 1991. I was there January of 98 all the way till April. 99. Sorry. And then till April of 99. And then I went to PTRP for the rest of that time until I got out.
Yeah,
So-
I was there in 09. I was Echo 360 River Raiders. It was literally right
Okay.
there at the gate, kind of down the hill from the gate. And we were in mobile homes, which was crazy because everybody else had the nice concrete buildings.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody being in mobiles there on Fort Jackson. I don't even remember anything like that.
It was crazy. Yeah.
And you said you didn't run Tank Hill either.
No, we didn't. We stayed basically kind of on the flat grounds.
That's amazing to me because every morning or every PT morning, I think it was like every other morning, I can't remember, we would run up Tank Hill every every time, and that was a lot.
Yeah, we didn't run any. We stayed kind of mainly flat grounds. We didn't really go up a whole lot of hills.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Cameron, tell me about your experience in basic, because from what I understand, it was pretty wild. You had quite a few things happen. So can we go to, I guess, tell us what the initial day when you actually get off the bus into basic training, a little bit of that, and then go into the events that you have told me about.
So we had the 3 days of in process, and we've got all of our shots and everything else. And so basically day 4, it's coming down. So day 3 is almost ending. We're going into your actual pods or mobile homes as we had them. And so, the drill sergeant gets on the bus. He goes, "You guys put your heads in the bags, and they'll go to the training area."
Mm-hmm.
We're going there. Most of us, I'm pretty sure we were tired, so we all kind of fell asleep. Drill sergeant gets on the bus, and he screams. He goes, "You guys got 30 seconds to get off my bus." And we had a mixed diverse, because we were co-ed, young and old and tall and short and whatever. But we had one guy, and I again can't remember his name, but he got off the bus and he literally took the words what the drill sergeant said, and he said, "Jump off the bus or get off my bus." And he jumped off. As he jumped off the bus, his foot hit the curb and pulled it straight upward. Back, snapped his ankle completely backward. And so it tended to that. And while everybody else was getting smoked, raising the bags over their heads and doing, going through their personal belongings and getting screamed at, not going to bed till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, we actually had the paramedic back up to the parade grounds, and they took the guy to the hospital. And they did what they could. I guess he was there overnight because next morning we were out there. he was on crutches in an air cast, and he stayed with our unit the entire basic training.
That is wild to me. Did he graduate?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you, because I didn't know if they had passed him, if they had pushed him through, or if they had to recycle him back to
Mhm.
square A. I really couldn't tell you, because once we started getting our orders, and then once we graduated, it was kind of like adios, you're on your own type thing, and I hated that, because we have some really good people to get to know in basic training.
Mhm. Well, it just shocks me that they allowed him to just stay with the unit or the platoon and just keep following you guys. Now, I've never thought that PTRP was the answer, or at least the way it was run when I was there. I've since heard that if it still exists, it's a lot better. They were actually doing like correspondence classes and stuff for soldiers. I don't know when that started or when that stopped, but I can't imagine the emotional turmoil. It's already bad enough being stuck in Medhold with a bunch of broken soldiers, but then to hobble along with all of the hardy and whole soldiers who are gung-ho and just watching them, I can't imagine. That would be horrible.
The mental aspect of it is, man, I joined the military to do something, and then all of a sudden I get injured during basic, and now I'm sitting back and I'm hobbling along on crutches or an air cast, and I may or may not be able to go on. But again, I guess it's up to the discretion of the training department, or the of your unit.
Mhm.
Because like I said, when we graduated, there was him and 6 other people that ended up either being recycled or pushed out of the military at that time.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy. And I mean, I get it. I understand, because I was hurt in basic training. So I got to right around my 7th week. I'm not for sure. But yeah, right around my 7th week. And I can't remember a whole lot anymore. I used to remember a whole lot more before the migraines started getting really bad. But just the devastation of being told, "Hey, you're not a soldier anymore." And I was told, laying on a backboard after I had just broken my back. I had been on the backboard for I don't know how many hours, laying in the ER, and I've got this 5'3" maybe captain walk up to me, woman, and she's like, "Well, soldier, I'm sorry, you're not in the military anymore. This is the end of your career," or something like that. And then I was just like, "What?" And then, I was like starting to cry, and she's like, "Don't cry, soldier." And it was unreal. It was so ridiculous. And I think back on it and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh."
So she told you that you wasn't a soldier, and then she told you, "Oh, don't cry, soldier."
Yes, she did.
You just said I wasn't a soldier, dumbass.
Yeah,
Make up your mind.
from the moment she even opened her mouth.
Yeah.
But
The thing is people do things drastically, like shoot people, and then after they're like shocked. Like, okay, that did not get the reaction that I was looking for, or it's a surprised reaction, or oh shit, it does bleed, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So.
that wasn't the only incident we had. I mean, so go back to the Puerto Rican cook, which again, I wish I remembered his name, because he was a really cool drill sergeant. He told us, if you don't want to be here, have the MPs call me, and I'll let you out the front gate, go home. We had 2 kids, and he told them which way to go, but we had 2 kids take off and go into the live fire range in the middle of the night.
That is
And
wild.
there was a unit out there doing their final, not want to say the final, but they were doing the live fire training where they're shooting over your head.
Mm-hmm.
Kids ended up going out there, and thankfully someone saw them, get ready to cross the field. So they had that one. We had the guy that, quote unquote, he got the Dear John letter, and we never knew it. We never saw the letter, but he was like, he didn't care about orders, he didn't care about rank, he didn't care about anything else, and he was pointing his weapon at the NCOs or the soldiers at the shooting range. So, again, we had multiple incidences when I was just starting basic training.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to come back. We're actually going to go to break. And when we come back, we're going to actually talk about the most interesting experience you had during basic training, which is wild that all of this happened during your training. But what?
It's going to get crazy.
Okay. Okay. So everybody, we're going to listen to Matt Oakley. It is Richest Man I Know, and we will be back with Cameron, and we will talk about his very interesting experience in basic training. Stay tuned.
He pulled in his old truck, bed full of tools and some more rust, boots full of dirt and they're all scuffed. You think he didn't have much? Well, he lived just a little bit different. Got nothing but got nothing missing. If you met him, you'd say it too. He's the richest man I knew. Yeah, he taught me to pray a little longer. Tie your boots, boy, work a little harder. Life's tough, but it's easy when you're smarter. Stay true to yourself, you'll go farther. Love everybody, 'cause one day you might need somebody. And don't you ever try to hurt nobody. Those are just a few things that he taught me. If you want a good life, you gotta live a little. And life's a storm, don't get caught in the middle. Know your worth, boy, don't ever settle. Time heals wounds, just wait, it gets better. Make sure to say yes sir, no ma'am. Look him in the eyes when you shake hands. Don't wait for pain just to say prayers. Just take your time, boy, you'll get there. Yeah, he told me to pray a little longer. Tie your boots, boy, work a little harder. Life's tough, but it's easy when you're smarter. Stay true to yourself, you'll go farther. Love everybody, 'cause one day you might need somebody. And don't you ever try to hurt nobody. Those are just a few things that he taught me. Well, he lived just a little bit different. Got nothing but got nothing missing. And Lord knows that we're missing you. He's the richest man I know.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome back, everybody, to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. I'm Amber, and this is Cameron, and we are talking about his unique experience in basic training. We all have different stories of our time of service, and they're all very different from each other's, and Cameron is no exception. So that was Matt Oakley, Richest Man I Know. So Cameron, can you tell us about what happened in basic training that was so mind-blowing?
So the gentleman I was talking about that had supposedly, quote unquote, gotten this Dear John letter during basic training. So we're walking a chow, and most formations go one way. As we're walking a chow, this gentleman decides that I'm going to go walk backwards, and so he faces the rear of the formation as we're walking the other opposite direction, and he ends up causing a bunch of issues. We get caught by I think if I remember right, I think he was a colonel and a command sergeant major. and
Mhm.
they asked, nicely to turn around and proceed with the formation. And he ended up basically telling them off and using explicit words. Well, as he was doing that, everybody got smoked that day.
Mhm.
We all went to chow. We come back the next morning. Rumors had started to swirl in that pod area and this is 2009, that there
Mhm.
was food poisoning also during this year of basic training. Basically, they didn't know who was being targeted. They didn't know why people was trying to poison the food. There was definitely a lot of people getting sick. I remember I'd gotten food poisoning as well,
Mhm.
and I went to sick call, and there was at least 16 soldiers in sick call. Now, what they were going through, I couldn't tell you.
Mhm.
And so the rumors, again, people were poisoning, whether it was interpreters or it was just the soldiers in general with rat poison.
Okay, so you guys were being poisoned with rat poisoning
Yes,
at the
ma'am.
chow hall.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the rumors were that it was either targeted towards the actual soldiers or towards the interpreters that were there on the base while you were training.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so these interpreters shared the chow hall with you guys?
Honestly, anybody that was in basic training could have been getting the poisoned food.
Okay, so it wasn't just okay. So from your knowledge, it wasn't just one unit being targeted. It could have gone to all of the different units on base.
Yes, it could have. Again, it's. I mean, what I'm saying is we don't know the extent of it. We don't know, was it targeting just the Muslim interpreters or was it targeting the American soldiers? Again, there's that speculation because nobody did confirm it in 2009. But again, it was where people was, hey, sick call was getting to the point where, man, we don't know where to put all these guys at. Everybody's going to the hospital with dehydration and diarrhea and just plain weird symptoms, and they're like, we need help here, guys. But
Yeah.
So that was the big thing of basic training 2009.
And they did confirm that it was rat poison.
It confirmed it was rat poisoning. And off air, I did explain to you that they did have another incident in 2010 where 5 Muslim soldiers was pulled from their unit to be investigated, whether they were the suspects or whether they were victims. Because in 2010, where food was being poisoned at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay, wow. Okay, I definitely need to look more into that. I did a very cursory look into it, and like I told you before, I completely forgot what I learned. Unfortunately, that's the casualty of being hurt.
Yes, ma'am.
So okay, so that is very concerning. It's very upsetting, and the fact that you as a soldier who was directly affected by it, you still to this day don't know what happened.
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's very concerning to me. If I were you, I would go and start requesting records to see what happened. That's just me because you never know. I have heard of people who have ingested rat poison or poisons of any kind, toxins of any kind, and many years later down the road, they have effects from it. So I would urge you to find out as much information as you can, and then let your doctors know what happened, just in case.
Yes, yeah, I need to touch base with you more on how to do that. So we'll touch base later.
Yeah, and I actually have a lady who you might be able to talk to who might be able to help you out a lot more than I can.
Okay.
Okay, Cameron. So we are going to actually get into the weeds a little bit here. And I had asked you if you had any paranormal, cryptid, or UFO experiences. And I wanted to save those for this day when we were talking.
Yes, ma'am.
Just so everybody knows, I have been helping Cameron in the beginning stages of his podcast, teaching him different things. I mean, we haven't gotten into a whole lot of teaching, but we've definitely found his the place that he wants to go with his podcast.
His
And
niche.
yeah, his niche.
Oh.
No,
You
you're
told me I've been pronouncing it wrong for the last 8-9 years. I thought it was niche. It's niche.
I pronounce it niche. Potato, Joel. It doesn't matter. Okay. So, Cameron, have you had any paranormal, UFO, or cryptid experiences?
I have two for you.
Okay.
So as a kid, I lived in a different state. I've just moved from Oklahoma to Kansas, but we lived in a different city called Henrietta or Oklahoma. And we lived there. Well, we used to go to these events where they would show us the old time days of what it was like back in the day of the old before civilization of Western and Native American life. And through there, well, I had bought in this dream catcher. And the guy had made a skull on it, a cow skull. Anyway, 2004, we moved from there. Up and did everything. Mom and Dad didn't tell me, just said, hey, we're moving. That was it. I had packaged it. Mom, Dad, me. We all looked at everything of how we're going to package this thing. We all wrapped it up and put styrofoam around it. It was missing one of its horns. It was all, and I bought it. So that's why I bought it. We get from Henrietta up to Broken Arrow where we lived, right? And we go to start moving everything into the rooms, and we're trying to set things up the way we want it to. And I get to the box and open it up, and I open up this dream catcher, and it's got the horn. It's got the full size horn back where it's been missing. And I looked at this thing, and I screamed and I hollered. I said, hey, Dad, you fix this by chance? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, my dream catcher. It was missing a horn when we packaged it up. He goes, yeah, it was. But it had the horn when I showed up in Broken Arrow, literally a week later.
That's wild. Okay, so did you buy it with the horn attached to it when you bought it?
No, the one side of the horn is completely gone. It was
that's what I thought you said. That's what I thought you said. So I wanted to make sure. Okay, so just all of a sudden, a random piece of a horn.
It didn't look like it was even broke. There was no creases, nothing. It was just as it was done.
Oh wow! What did your dad say about it? Did he or your family at all? Did they have any?
No, they just shrugged it off. They thought it was that maybe one of them didn't fix it. They didn't talk about it. I mean, they just, like I said, again, shrugged it off. We were moving, so they didn't really put too much effort into it.
Okay.
And then the second one is most of us have pets, dogs, cats. God forbid you got a cow living in your house, because I've seen it before. But I was laying down one night, and this is years ago. You know how when a dog or cat lays on the bed and you feel that indentation around you, between your legs, up against your back, whatever?
Yeah.
Kept trying to move the covers one night. I kept trying to move them and couldn't do it. And I'm fighting with all my might. And I felt this indentation like somebody was sitting right next to me. I mean, you're talking a human body feel, because the weight was so massive. And I go to grab this cover, and I'm like, I can't move it. So I'm like, all right, dog, cat, whatever, sitting next to me, get off the bed so I can pull my covers up because I'm just getting cold. And I looked back and there was nobody on my bed whatsoever but me. And you could see the indication that somebody was sitting right at the edge of my bed, like a parent was watching over their kid, or a grandparent would come by and was, reading a book or rubbing their head to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up and I saw around. I'm thinking, did mom and dad just leave? Did what? And nothing. It just, you could see the indentation, and the next night didn't see it.
Okay, now this is at your new home in Broken Arrow?
Yep.
Okay. And did anybody else in your family ever have any problems or experiences?
No, I didn't talk about it to them.
Oh, okay. I get that. Okay. Trace Around says, did you freak out?
A little bit, because when you're dead asleep, it's one of those things that makes you go, who was sitting right here, or who was, what has happened now? I don't know if people, if people would look over and see something black, like a real quick shadow go by, or you look down an empty hall.
Yeah.
And you get that weird feeling. This house had that weird feeling. Like I would see something, or I would feel something, or whatever. We had a long, dark hallway down this back road, down this. So you go upstairs. There's 2 rooms this way, and we go down this hallway. So we go upstairs, turn right. There's another door. We turn right, go down left. It was long, dark. I mean, we would have to turn the light on. Even I was even creepier. Even with the light on, I felt like somebody was staring at me at the end of the hallway. So I'd run in there, grab myself, run back out. And I'd always back going,
How old were you when this started happening?
So 14.
14. Okay.
Because we moved there in 2004. This started when I was about 14, and it kind of showed its face every now and then up until about I left out for military.
Okay. So I've had that same experience where I will be laying in bed, and now this happened when I had a whole 6.5 year basically time period where I was laying in bed for basically 26 days out of the month for 6.5 years with chronic migraines and very bad stomach problems. And there would be times where I would be laying in there and I would hear like the shuffling kind of footstep where it would come in the door and then it would go around my bed and then it would come up onto the side where my husband sleeps. And then it would sit down and then it would lay down. And when it first happened, I thought it was my husband. And so I remember being really sick that day, and I looked over and I just said, "I love you, honey." And he wasn't there. And I was like, "What?" So I just kind of shook it off a little bit. I was just kind of like, "Okay, I'm tripping. Something's going on. I don't understand what's going on." And I had never experienced anything like that before. I had had other things happen, but to actually feel something sit down next to me and lay down next to me was completely different. And so, yeah, it would happen off and on in this one house that we lived in where is it? Newport Richey, Florida. And it was already a bad vibe to the house, but this was just, it was super creepy. So Terry said she would have freaked out. Yeah. I freaked out.
So let's kind of fast forward real quick. So this is kind of a funny one. So
Okay.
I military, I'm at home, and just like any veteran who's gone through a traumatic, incident, you replay, Afghanistan or Iraq or whatever back over and over and over. I could replay to the point where I could smell and see everything, and visualize some of the incidents that we had over in Afghanistan. So
Yeah.
I'm in the house, I'm laying in bed, and I'm upstairs, and my mom and dad was downstairs, and I heard this story, and I didn't believe it until it actually happened. About 3 o'clock in the morning, I heard this voice coming walking through the house, and you could hear the feet shuffling, and this was going, "Hello, hello," and it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm dead asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So, as stupid as it may sound, I jumped up, I grabbed my one of my big heavy duty knives, and I had my gun with my laser and flashlight on it.
Uh-huh.
I'm walking through the house. I'm clearing every room by room, like I did in Afghanistan. I'm walking through there, and I'm doing just what we've taught.
Uh-huh.
And I kept hearing this, "Hello, hello," and I kept dying. I'm like, and all of a sudden it stops.
Uh-huh.
And then the stairs started creaking, and you could hear it walking up, and it did again. It was, "Hello," and I turned the flashlight on, and it's the damn house cat. The cat was walking around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning screaming, "Hello." And I about shot this cat. And I said, "Really, guys? This is actually," and I thought my mom and dad was making it up. And this was walking around the house 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, screaming or conversing, and was saying hello. And I almost shot this cat, and I real bad. I was like, I'm going back to bed. I just shut everything off. And it's just one of those things that you sit back and you hear the stories people have in animals that say something, or you could think you could hear it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and you go, "No, that didn't happen. No, you're just making it up for entertainment purposes."
Yeah.
And when you experience it yourself, you go, "Oh my God. Have you what?" And you start asking yourself these questions. So
Am I crazy?
yeah, I take my crazy pill today because this is what I feel like. And she did it every morning. 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning was her time for her attention or whatever, and she would go walk around the house and scream, "Hello, hello," and it was clear.
Maybe she was seeing something. I mean, that's supposed to be the witching hour, you know?
I don't know. I mean, it was just that spookiness, because I thought that I had this vibe per se that this house was somewhat haunted, not like the ones that would kill you in your sleep or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you knew there was something there, like whether someone died in that house or there was a body buried in the wall, something crazy. But I had this vibe, and so we had this attic, and we'd walk in the attic, through this we had another bedroom in the back. There was a game room. Miss Terry, I lived over there in Broken Arrow. I lived over off of 91st and 145th. It was at the corner of, kind of tucked in between 91st and 91st and 101st. So where the old reserve unit used to be at off of Lynn Lane, I actually did junior Navy cadet program at that old reserve unit off of Lynn Lane.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, again, it's not there no more. They built a massive multi-billion-dollar training center that sits out in Coweta, Oklahoma. They actually turned into a police station now. It's really updated, nice. The jails, part of the jails over there, or at least the holding tanks. And it was so crazy to go from trying to be in the Navy as a junior cadet, then I go armed. The story goes forward. But no, I mean, when you think about it, and again, like I just had this vibe. So again, I'd run down this hall, run in this room, and we had an office back there, so we played video games. There was times like even if the fan turned off, that fan above us would just start rotating all by itself. And, we'd open up the attic door to go walk over into the attic, but we couldn't go very far because the floor was missing. It was weird because we'd be like going, click off and take off running, because that's how fast we had to get out of that room. I mean, it was just that vibe.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know what that was. But I have that ability to feel the weirdness that happens in certain places. I mean, you don't feel it all the time, but just every once in a while you'll walk into a place and it's heavy, like you're walking through soup or something like that, and it's just or like a very heavy fog, and
it's breathtaking. It's it starts to mess with you.
Yeah, and immediately, I don't know about you, but immediately I start getting like pictures in my head of what I'm feeling. Now, I don't know if that's some kind of weird thing happening, I don't know.
The only thing I'll say is what's really weird, and I used to have a friend that did paranormal hunts, especially right there in Missouri and Kansas.
Okay.
He had a friend that could walk into, we'll say, the haunted prison right there in Missouri.
Yeah.
They would walk into the prison or whatever, or even the old Civil War battle out there in Kansas. Anyway, would walk out, and his friend could start speaking in ghost language and would communicate with them, going back and forth, having a conversation, and she would just stay in one spot. And I'm sitting there thinking, nah, dude, again, you're making this stuff up, because how do you talk to someone that's been dead for over 100 years? Or how do you talk to someone who died in a prison, whatever? And apparently she just had this, and again, I never seen it, but she would have this way of transferring her mind, and her eyes would start fluttering, and she would just start speaking, but nobody could understand it. And she could.
No, I don't know what it is, but I believe that those things exist. As a Christian, it's very complicated to wrap your mind around it. I mean, we're told that there's all kinds of different powers and stuff like that out there, powers and principalities that are out there that are working against us and for us. And so there's stuff going on around us that we can't see. I mean, as a Christian, you have to believe that. Otherwise, that's you have no faith.
Exactly.
So it's hard to wrap your mind around and try to think about what these different experiences are. I've actually been to the Missouri State Penitentiary every year, except for this year because we were out of town. We take our daughter, or I take my daughter, to a haunted location and do like a little paranormal hunt. Because her birthday is close to Halloween. So we like to do that, and it's just fun, but I've been there, and we've both sat in the execution chair, in the execution chamber, and there is definitely a heaviness to that entire prison. But the worst is in the basement area, and it was like the prison of the prison. And
do you imagine what went on back in the time that prison had been active? I mean, from what I understand, that prison has been around since what, the late 1800s or early 1900s?
I think it was actually the earlier 1800s, because it was the only prison in the West for a very long time.
To think what happened behind closed doors in the basement, and then you got the execution chair.
Yeah, and I actually, funny enough, when we moved here, we live close enough to that establishment that I go to church with a few former guards of that prison. So I've got one guy who I want to come. I want him to come on. He's in his 80s, I believe, and but he is a pistol. Oh my goodness! And so I've been hesitant to bring him on because I'm not sure what he's going to say.
You just got to remind him to watch the language, because I want to know. This would be very interesting to watch, to see what secrets he's going to tell about something where he worked at. And
Yeah, and he actually worked in the basement. So he worked there for 2 years in the basement, and he worked at this prison from the time he was like 18 or 19 years old all the way up until he retired.
Wayne's
Yeah,
World, party time, excellent.
Okay. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I do want to have him on. So we actually are at an hour and 17 minutes. And this is actually going really good, Cameron. But I'm going to close it up because I've been gone a whole week and I'm really tired.
Nope.
So can you tell us, Cameron, what your show is going to be called, what it's going to be about, and just what you're thinking and what you're doing?
So as I progress in the training progress, again, with your help and Joel's and Miss Terry,
Yeah.
I had to be specific about it. But
Mhm.
with the help that I've been getting, my podcast is going to be Uncle Fester's podcast.
Mhm.
The quote that's going to be on there is going to be, I think we can use it. It's going to be life's a highway, keep driving or keep moving
Yep.
forward. And basically it's going to start out from, what I want is the audience is to know who the host is, right?
Mhm.
I want where I started at. I want them to know why I chose the military, what happened, the good, the bad, the ugly, what my
Mhm.
faults were, what I learned from it later on in life. Because as a
Mhm.
kid, you don't learn anything starting out.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to be an idiot. You're going to fail.
Mhm.
But gone older, you look back going, well, damn, I didn't do enough, or I did it wrong. And I want to be that open type person where the questions
Mhm.
come, answer it, or where people say, they or not just where they want to know, but it's I'm open book.
Mhm.
But we'll talk about the military. We'll talk about life after the military. The problems I've had with the VA, or we'll talk about problems with, in the trucking industry, because that's the biggest thing. That I've been driving a truck for 10 years, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of bad, there's a lot of unknowns, especially right now. So what we've been able to learn and do now. I also want to bring in sports. I know we have a dedicated group of guys that do sports already.
Mhm.
But there's, we may have different opinions. We may have different takes on who we like, or what we want to talk about. And the
Mhm.
biggest thing, just get to know myself, to put it out there, to help people who's in the trucking industry, to help people who's in the military. Mr. Laswell gave
Mhm.
me a chance to help him on his podcast. So I also want to be able to sit there and say, I don't know everything. I'm never going to know everything. I'm
Mhm.
not out, but give that person to see both sides, positive, the negative, and say, man, he's experienced it, so he has a little bit of a way to understand it. So that's kind of what's going to be about. There's issues with, I won't say politics, but there's issues in today's economy and politics and whatever that if it can be talked about civilly and respectfully,
Mhm.
it'll be brought out. But again, we are entitled to our own opinion. We are entitled to our own thoughts and whatever. Are we going to always?
Mhm.
We're not. So, but to give someone a chance, whether it's a veteran that's coming out of the military, a truck driver, maybe I can start reaching out to, not even just veterans alone, but say, hey, this is my podcast. So, hey, this has to do with the trucking, or hey, this has to do with money in the military or whatever. We can start working together and start building that rapport, start having fun, and start really just.
Cameron, I believe in you. I believe in you. I think you can do better than Dancing Trucker on TikTok.
I wasn't going to go
I don't know.
but if it pays me, why not? It's not how to.
You're going to do great. And I'm very proud of you. You've been very proactive, very on top of things, and in the forum, in the NBR forum. And so this is the place for you, and you're going to go very far. I already know it.
I hope so. We got to work on a lot of equipment to get and see where it goes. I'm not going to just stop. I'm going to explore every avenue. Again, I'm always going to bug people. I'm always going to, ask the questions, and one day I'll get that one veteran or that one person going, dude, really? You're an idiot, and and hang up on me, walk away. So I can see it coming. But
no,
it's been fun just to know, you as a host and as a person, and I got Joel and Mr. Laswell and Terry and the other Terry, and I build that rapport because I want to be able to sit there and say, I'm not alone in this, and no one else should feel that way of I'm by myself. And again, not just problems with the VA. I have a friend who's currently active that he'll get on Facebook and he'll gripe, moan, complain about he wants change, he wants this, he wants all this, but he won't talk.
Yeah,
He just put down, and he wants to sit there and refute everything everybody says. So at a later date and time, and we got more information, we can sit back and dissect it. But that's our problem is as veterans. Why? And Joe, forgive me for what I'm about ready to say, but when it comes to this statement, we have 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. It starts with the veteran. It starts with the VA. It starts with, where was that person's battle? When I got out, I experienced it. So again, later date time, I can break down what I've gone through and the VA stuff. But we shouldn't be having this as a veteran. And I want to give that veteran a voice, but I also want to give them a chance to understand that avenue of options has been endless since I've got out in 2011. It has grown and grown and grown and grown over the years because they realize. So,
yeah. Well, I'm excited about your podcast. I'm excited to hear what you have to say. I hope you have me on as a guest so we can flush out more of this stuff.
Oh yes, I will definitely. Again, you gave me a chance to talk about my podcast. You, Mr. Laswell, anybody that I've gotten to talk to, it'll be on my podcast.
Okay, well, thank you, Cameron, so much for joining us here at Into the Weeds. I'm sorry my daughter wasn't here. She wasn't expecting me to just jump on and do one after I had been gone and then had only just gotten home.
Well, I wasn't either. I'm kind of surprised too.
We'll have to talk about why you just got home today, because I thought you were going to be home on Saturday. But yes, I want to do a podcast with you and your daughter so that way I could see the other voice in the background. So, but thank you for giving me a plug in on my podcast, and thank you for again inviting me and just having this conversation tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome, Cameron. And thank you, Joel, for being in the background. And I thank all of my listeners who are here tonight. It wasn't really a scheduled. Well, I was supposed to have P. Dinah on, but I actually rescheduled that interview because we didn't have enough time to talk in depth about some of the stuff that we were going to talk about. So I am so thankful, Cameron and Joel, that you guys came on and kept me company and did this impromptu live.
Hey, it's been my pleasure. It's been fun.
Okay. Yeah. So I hope that everybody has a wonderful night, and I hope that you go out there and do something great to change the world and make the world a better place. Have a great night.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.